Welcome to a Trekzone conversation. Matt Miller with you at Trekzone HQ. Well, we're continuing the month of January, fast running out of days in the first month of 2020. Director Luke Sparke is joining me right now. We're going to have a chat about his new sci-fi film, Occupation Rainfall.
Beaming around the world for over 500 episodes. Now on Facebook Watch, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. This is a Trekzone conversation.
Luke, thanks for beaming into the show. Really appreciate your time, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Now, we first met in 2016 at the premiere of Red Billabong. Now, that was a fantastic film involving a really cool storyline, and it was fantastically directed and acted. Obviously, such a long time ago now, 4 years. 2020 just ruined it for everybody. But you've now come up with a sequel to another film, Occupation. This one's called Occupation Rainfall. What's happening?
What's happening? Okay, so Occupation 1 came out in 2018 in Australia. So very limited release. But luckily for us, it got on Netflix America, and it launched at number 1 on Netflix the week it came out over there in America, and then Netflix Australia picked it up. So we're able to get a whole lot of fans and people watching the show from the Netflix release. But even before the movie got released, we announced that there was going to be a sequel, and it was my intention to sort of show that Australia can do a sort of sci-fi series. We got to work straight away on that, and my intention was to make it, even bigger than I could possibly imagine, and what I could do, and what Australia thinks that they could do in a sort of genre film like this.
I think it's absolutely remarkable. The trailer dropped just before Christmas, and seeing that and then reaching out to you, what I love about it is the fact that it's not that typical Aussie film. We sort of kind of have a laugh at ourselves. We kind of make it a bit comedic. We're not big into the drama scene or especially the sci-fi scene. The shots in the trailer are just beautiful. The chopper whirring over the destroyed Sydney Harbour Bridge, I think, is just an iconic shot. What's the idea behind making sci-fi? Is it a passion for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a passion. Like, I've grown up watching Star Trek and Star Wars. And then Independence Day sort of came out when I was 13, so it was a perfect time to go to the cinemas again and again and watch that. It's a huge passion of mine, and I think, if you're not doing something new or something interesting, there's no point in doing it. And yes, there's been lots of sci-fi, but not in Australia. So I made Occupation 1, and then the sort of feedback from online was, this looks sort of like Tomorrow When the War Began, or this is like Red Dawn. And it's true, because I lent on that a lot, because I'm a fan of those shows as well. And you see a million movies come out and they're all identical, but when someone tries to do it out here, everyone's sort of like, oh, this is just like that movie. It's like, so I took that on board. And then you're right, people in Australia, we do tend to take a laugh at ourselves or something like that. So I tried to make this quite earnest. But there is obviously about Ken Jeong in the movie from The Hangover, so there is obviously parts in the movie, that are funny. But basically, I'm trying to make it like a Marvel movie or something like that, where you get a little bit of like the quips here and there, but you can then quickly on a dime turn to an earnest conversation or a storyline that's quite it just gives it a bit of levity, So that was my intention of this. Because I grew up on those sort of movies.
Well, speaking of Kim Jeong, the cast in this is amazing. I think that's another bit of a stigma on Australian films as well, is that there's always a cast of Aussie actors that aren't necessarily known on the global stage, because if there is an Aussie actor that's globally known, they've moved to Los Angeles and gone big and done multi-billion-dollar projects. How was the casting process for you to get these people in, choosing these people as well?
Yeah, well, look, we're quite lucky, and it's just time and place and script and everything else. But what was really good about the casting in this movie is that I went to Ken first. I thought he was great for the role, and he really liked it that it wasn't written as like a little Asian man in the script. It's just like I just write characters, rather than trying to pigeonhole people, and then I cast the net wide to be like, let's see who's the best for this character. It doesn't have to be a particular race, creed, or something else. So he commented on that, and he came on straight away, which was really great. And he was only over here for like a week, and we had to cram in all his scenes in a week because he's so busy all the time on TV in America and that. So we were like, shooting ridiculous, amounts of reels and time and all that kind of stuff. And then we got Jason Isaacs to be one of the you haven't even revealed it yet, but he's one of the aliens in the film, and he's with Ken, and he's really funny. And then we got people like Lawrence Macaro, who's like the main orc in Lord of the Rings. We got him over to be one of the aliens. You see him in the trailer talking to Dan Ewing, and so it just snowballs. And then we got Tem back, and obviously Tem's blown up now again because of the Mandalorian, Boba Fett. So it's just I don't know, just one of those things just happens, and the casting I think is really great. We got people like Mark Cole-Smith, who plays Captain Wessex in the movie, and an Aboriginal actor in the film, who's just is one of the army leaders. He's in the trailer, yelling out "Here we go!" And I think that's I was really excited to get him. I've been wanting to work with him since I worked with him on Beneath All 60 back in like 2009. And I think it's a good cast. And like you said, it's a cast that is internationally appealing, but somehow Australian still, but somehow not. It's all come together in the right way.
Well, sitting down with my sister and my mum to watch the trailer, for my sister especially, it was really a moment on each scene, on each beat of each of these actors coming in was, oh my gosh, it's that person, it's that person. It's not just this, as I said, this stigma of Australian cinema, as poorly earned as it is. Really, Australian cinema is some of the best in the world, but to have this big budget and just have this movie that could just as easily have been made in Hollywood is just beautiful, and I think it's a brilliant job. I can't wait to see it. Have you had? I know you were telling me off air that post-production works and visual effect work is continuing right up until premiere. Have you had any sort of internal screeners at the moment? Any sort of feedback from people?
Well, we had Monster Fest, which was the festival they do for the genre films, and because of COVID, they couldn't do Melbourne back in lockdown. So in October 30th on Halloween, we did like a test screening at Monster Fest in Brisbane, Sydney, Adelaide, and Perth. And even during COVID, they were selling out, which was good. And the feedback, obviously I went on to Brisbane and sitting there in the cinema watching it for the first time with people, even though it wasn't 100% finished, and I had to leave a little note at the beginning to say it is still work in progress. The feedback was a standing ovation, and the feedback was really good. And then same as Sydney and Perth, and had people all around watching and listening and that, and it's been received really well. And just last week they did a Melbourne one. Now they're catching up on it, and we're able to give them a little bit more than what we saw up here because we're almost finished. And that was received really well as well. So, it's been good. And then straight after those screenings, like Event Cinema watched it, and obviously, to get a film out, you want to get Event, and they watched it, and they're fully on board and gave us all their cinemas and that. So it's been sort of a whirlwind to go, wow, this really does work. And it's a good film, because I've sat here for like 2 years and I keep looking at people going, it's good, right? It's really good, right? Right? Because I don't know, because it just keeps rolling. But yeah, the visual effects are huge, and I think we've got like 1,545 visual effects shots in the film. And you put that together with something like Rogue One, they had 1,700 visual effects shots in the film. So like we're getting up there.
Well, and this is another thing that may not be as widely known as it should be. Australia is the leader in post-production in visual effects works. We've got production houses in Melbourne and around the country working on Marvel productions, on Star Wars productions as well, I believe.
Yep.
So
Yep.
The quality of this stuff is up there, and as you say, you're only a couple of hundred shots short of Rogue One. So it's an epic.
It is. It's an epic, and it kept growing, and I really pushed it as much as I could to make it as big as it can be. So even just the script and the shooting, I was pushing it, and got the visual effects, and I was making up new sequences, and let's see inside of this base, and let's see inside of this ship, and let's see over here. Everyone's like, okay, we'll make it work, Luke. I mean, COVID for us hit at an interesting time, because all the visual effects work stopped, all film production stopped. and suddenly there was all these artists from who were about to go on Thor, Love and Thunder, and all these other Shang-Chi, who suddenly became available and came to us and said, "Hey, you're making this amazing film in Australia. We're Australians. We never get to work on an Australian film with this level of visual effects. Can we make it work here?" And suddenly we had this influx of amazing artists that we wouldn't have had if it wasn't for COVID. So that was very interesting early in the year for us. First, we were like, "Oh my God, COVID! What are we going to do?" And then suddenly, "Oh, we're going to do this!" And suddenly, this new world opened up, and that was very interesting. So that's been fun.
Well, and luckily for you as well, filming wrapped up in January, so just before the pandemic really took off. So you managed to get everything in the can. Were there any pickups that needed doing? Any second unit that needed doing?
No. I got it all. Luckily, and anything else we did with visual effects. I mean, we were kind of shooting even in Block 2, because in Block 1 we did it in 2018 with Ken. That was a while ago, and it took us a whole other year to get, because we're financing ourselves. It's all been self-financed. There's no studios involved. There's no screen bodies involved. No Screen Australia. No Screen Queensland. No nothing. It's all just been family, friends, investors funding this film. But to do that, obviously, it's very different. So you got to do outside structure. So we had to sort of wait a long time to get back to shooting, and shot it in pieces as we went. And then eventually we just said, okay, we're going to do another 6 weeks, end of 2019 up into January 2020, and just get it done. But to do that, we had to cram like 12 weeks into 6 weeks. So we were shooting just ridiculous things in a small crew. But I ended up, before even watching The Mandalorian and how they did that, ended up making it kind of what they did doing here. We put up big screens and had the monitors and a bit of green screen as well, and we were projecting the previs onto the green screen so actors knew what they were doing. And we're just like, can't afford to build sets, so we're going to just put a bit of dirt and everyone's just going to walk on it, and then everyone's going to create everything else digitally. And everyone's like, okay, if you can do it, and we did. It's crazy. It's this film shouldn't exist, but it does.
So what's it like, this project of yours that's come from idea to fully realized now? What's it been like for you to finally see this, and it's just days away now from being released into the wild, out into the world, as it were?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's flying by the seat of my pants. Like, the whole thing's just been flying by the seat of my pants. You know, I'm creating a whole world. Occupation 1's kind of its own thing. This is a sequel in a way, but also very much standalone. I went in that people don't have to see the first movie just to see this one. But to do that, we're creating worlds. You know, there's alien creatures that the guys ride on, like horses across the country. You know, have to delve into really geek culture of like, what do these aliens eat? What do these aliens do? How do these aliens live? And then there's like, you see in one trailer, there's a big spider creature, and you know, then there's a whole, why did they bring that? What's the ship doing here? Like, have to really dive into the whole world to create a world. And I've really tried to do that. We've got background little creatures with like 6 arms walking around. They don't do anything. They're not characters in the movie. But I just kept bringing that sort of Star Trek, Star Wars feel to this universe that I love, where you see background things and you're like, holy crap, what is that? Who cares? It exists in this movie. And Australian films don't really do that either, because we don't really make world building films. We make little standalone drama films that are really great, and that, but not a universe. And yeah, I'm trying to create a universe here. So to see it go from the script to the shooting to now being days away to releasing it, you know, to an audience to Australia and in the world, it's like it's a bit of a pinching moment all the way along, because I knew this film had something. I knew I had it in me to create something like this. I just had to get it out there, and no one was going to give me the opportunity, so I had to break down every single barrier to make it happen.
Wow. Well, it is absolutely incredible. One more time, let's check out the trailer, and we'll come back.
What I'm about to show you has only been known to a handful of people. Even less have ever seen this. This is Project Rainfall.
Sydney's lost, we're surrounded, and we're suffering unsustainable casualties.
There's something else. Over the past few weeks, I've encountered sources that all speak of some event. Rainfall.
Find out what this rainfall thing is, report back to me.
I will go too.
I've seen you fight. You're keeping something from me.
I am a soldier, Matthew, just like you.
What are they doing? Preparing for war, eh? It's their technology integrated with ours. It's a beautiful thing.
I've hidden from this war long enough. I'm going to make sure you complete your mission.
You are surrounded. You cannot win.
Oh, that's not good.
Here we go!
Now, write a story as a species. I'm with you. It's not all the times that we fall, but that we rise again. Every single time.
Incoming guidance.
What else you got?
Call him as you see him.
Luke, absolutely incredible. Occupation Rainfall. It is out in cinemas nationwide at event cinemas on January 28. And for worldwide, people worldwide catch the film.
It'll be rolling out after here, so Japan and Germany and the US and that, they'll sort of come out around March, April. And there's advanced screenings coming up very soon. Also, the weekend of the 22nd, they're going to be doing advanced screenings for the Australia Day weekend.
Well, it is absolutely cool, Luke. Very cool production. Looking forward to catching that opening scene, which I'm going to jump into right now because this looks absolutely fantastic. Occupation Rainfall. It is out in cinemas January 28. Luke Sparke, thanks so much for your time, and come back soon with another project.
Will do.